female peacocks breed with any old male in the tank? Is it safe to add fish to a tank that's been established for 6 or 7 years? And is it really a big deal if we rinse sponges in tap water? I'm going to answer all 3 of those questions and give you an interesting comment of the week on this episode of Tank Talk. Hey folks, it's John with KG Tropical. Super excited to bring you another episode of Tank Talk. If this is the first time you've joined us, I answer your questions that are submitted in the comment section below. I randomly select a few and I cover them in these episodes. We do these every single week, so if you want to get your questions answered, put them down in the comment section below. We have all kinds of fun, so let's get right into the first question. I'm tired today, but I can do it. If you really want to know, I pick these comments out, I screenshot them, and then I put them away in a file, and I kind of don't really read them again until it's time to do these videos. So when you're getting these answers, they are right off the top of my head. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. But anyway, let's go. First question today is actually 2 questions that are kind of similar, so I'm going to read both of those questions, and then we will get into my answer. First one comes in from Cameron Jonas, and he says, I have a 40-gallon with 6 female peacocks of what I believe are varying species, and I plan on adding a male to start breeding. I bought the females separately in groups of 2 and 3. 2 of them are of one species, 2 of them another species, and 3 of them are the same species that I thought were peacocks, but after a few weeks and better understanding, I think they might be haps. So now, before I purchase my male for breeding, I wanted to ask, will these females most likely breed with whatever adult male I throw in there, or will they be picky? I know there are many variables, but I was hoping someone could point me in the right direction. Thanks. So the next one is, again, a very similar question. And it comes from Kim Stokes. Question, I have a sunshine peacock who began mating with one male, which was not a sunshine. She dropped her eggs, and during the dance, she managed to pick up several eggs, but the large male started eating her eggs. She frantically fought to get them, but the size was too much for her. She then ran him off and enticed the male sunshine and gathered a ton of eggs. Is it normal for a female to do this? I assumed, since there was a male of the same type, that he would be the one she would mate with. Okay, so both of these are, like I said, they are kind of similar because you're dealing with female peacocks, and you're wondering, will they do it? Will they do the do with just any old male? Kind of with Kim's, it's like, okay, she started off with this one and then lost interest and moved on to another male. And with Cameron, he's asking, can I just put any old male in there and he will do what he needs to do with the females? So they're kind of similar, but anyway, we can kind of cover the whole thing here. But so here's the deal. Female peacocks, because they're all peacocks, female peacocks do not care what male peacocks they breed with. And this is something that it can be a huge problem in the peacock breeding world, because you never really know what females are what. With us, when we were breeding, we were very particular about, we kept everything labeled. When we ordered the fish, we knew what we were ordering. We got them from a breeder that we trusted to deliver us the fish that we requested. And then we would take those and we would label the tank, and we would always know where the females are, and there'd be males in there with them too. So that made it a little easier. But what I'm saying is, if you had all of your females mixed up, you wouldn't know what kind of females you have. There's very few female peacocks that look different than the others, where you could look at it and say, oh, that's a this or that's a that. The only one that I know I could probably pick out in a lineup as far as females goes is the Ethylwane peacock. That's the only one. I call it Ethylwane. People say Ethylwane, who knows? I call them Ethels. I could pick one of those out because they have a kind of a different shape than the others. But all of the other peacocks look the same, except for maybe dragon bloods for obvious reasons. So anyway, if you put a bunch of females in the tank, they're not going to be selective over who they breed with. If it's a male and she thinks that male's all right, she'll go ahead and do what she's got to do. So with you, Cameron, let's see. So now before I purchase a female for breeding, I wanted to ask, will all these females most likely breed with whatever adult male I throw in there? Yes and no. They're not, it's not an automatic thing that they're going to breed. If there's only one male in there, they don't have a whole lot of shopping they can do. They can't run around and, do interviews and speed date and figure out which one they want to go with. There's a male in there. He's the only one. She's ready. Then she's going to pretty much do what she's got to do with him. And she's not going to read a resume or really care what type of male he is. So you're going to end up with hybrids, and that's okay. I mean, I don't hate you for that. There are some people who will, but, that is what it is. So the answer to your question, Cameron, is they may or they may not. I mean, if you get females that just aren't into it, then there's not a whole lot you can do about that. But I shouldn't say females. Peacocks like to breed. They just do, and they're very easy to breed. You put a male in with the females, and guess what's going to happen? They're going to spawn, and they're going to have babies. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. The 3 that you were talking about that are haps, or that you believe to be haps, I don't know what's going to happen there. Most likely, nothing. Might make some interesting fish if something does happen there. But now with Kim Stokes, you know what? Start off with one male, finish things off with the other. That's something I absolutely have heard of happening. I've heard that kind of story many, many times. In fact, I have heard stories where you've got a mixed tank, and the female starts off with this male and then goes over and finishes with this one. And when the brood is free swimming, they all look different. Like they're like half and half. You got half yellow ones and half red ones. That happens. And people freak out, but it's because they were with 2 different males. I've even heard of females picking up eggs that belong to other females and housing those. And I've even heard of Synodontis catfish being carried by peacocks. So yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stories there. But in your situation, you know what? The female was ready to go. She said, all right, this guy will do. And she started things off and probably thought, you know what? He's a wimp. I don't want to have anything to do with him. I'm going to kick him to the curb. He's done. He's a loser. I'm going to go over to the big fella over there, and we're going to have some fun. I think that's what was going on there. I don't know. I'm just being a weirdo here, but that's what's going on there. Both of these scenarios, you all have to understand that breeding fish is fun, and I get that. And the very first peacocks I ever bred were hybrids, and that's fine. Understand that's what you're going to get in this scenario. You mix a male and a female that aren't the same, guess what's going to happen? Just understand that we live in the world where everybody puts their opinion out there about everything, and people might not like that you've got hybrids. But who cares about them? We're having fun here, right? So there you go. I don't know if anything I just said made sense, but let's move on. Next question today comes in from another frequent Tank Talk question submitter. Is that what we're going to call him? We're just going to call him a tank talker. Denny's Aquatics. I've answered a couple of his questions already. He just asks really good questions, and he's always got really positive, really good things to say. So, of course, I'm going to be naturally drawn to his questions. Hi, John. I have an old, established 210-gallon aquarium with mostly predator haps that have been together for the past 6 to 7 years. Most of them range in size from 7 to 14 inches. The tank is moderately stocked with all males. My question is that I have been thinking of adding full-grown peacocks to a tank that has seen no changes in over 5 years. What tips would you recommend for adding several peacocks in a tank that has large haps and experienced very little change over the years? I have had a few haps die off from old age, and I just wanted to add some new spark to my hobby. First of all, this is a beautiful thing, Denny, and I got to commend you because most people aren't going to keep fish for 6-7 years because they're just not talented enough to keep fish that long, or they're not dedicated enough to their tank. You're doing a good job there. So this one is kind of tricky. I'm going to be honest with you. You've got some heavy hitters in there. If you've got 14-inch fish, you've got some big uns in that tank. And your average peacock full grown is going to be less than half that size. Significantly less than half that size. So it is a little bit risky. But I understand your desire to want to do that because you've been looking at this tank for 6-7 years. And yeah, I mean, you love your fish. You've obviously taken very good care of them. They are your pets now. They're not just little things swimming around in the tank. So they mean a lot to you. But after 6-7 years, it's like, all right, I mean, I want to do something, you know. So I understand why you would want to do that. I'm not sure I would if I were you, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, 210 gallon, it depends. You said moderately stocked. I don't know what that means. That might be 4 fish, or that might be 14. If there's 14 fish in a 210 gallon, I probably wouldn't do nothing. But I don't know. I don't know how many you have. I feel like I got a video clip from you for one of my videos, and I feel like I've seen the tank that you're talking about, and there was quite a few fish in there. So if it were me, I would probably leave it alone. I'm one of those people with this African cichlid world that we live in. It's hard to get a tank settled. I mean, with predator haps, it's not as hard. I know people might call me crazy for saying this, but they are the ones. I don't call them predator haps. I don't know really where that came from. I just call them haps. But I've found them to be the least difficult to keep a cohesive tank. Peacocks would be next, and then Mbunus would be the most difficult to keep aggression at bay. If I had a predator hap tank, why did I say predator? A hap tank that's been running for 6-7 years and has a lot of fish in it, like I think yours does, because I'm pretty sure I know the right video here that you sent me, I would probably leave it alone. But you didn't ask me if I would leave it alone or if I would do it. You asked me for tips on adding new fish to the tank. So the thing is, you've got to, this is tough. Should I even do this? Here's the thing, Denny. You cannot blame me if things go wrong. I'm giving you very good warning that it could go bad. It could go bad for you. It could go bad either way. Even though you've got some big monsters in there, the peacocks could come in and take over. And you know that. They could. Most likely they won't, but they could. The more likely scenario would be you're buying these full-grown male peacocks, which are going to cost you good money. The more likely scenario would be if things go bad, it's going to be the haps taking out the peacocks, and that would be devastating for the wallet. And it would be devastating because they're lives that are being lost. So understand you've got full warning here, okay? But you're a good guy, so you're not going to blame me or want to sue me. This world we live in. So if I was in your situation and I wanted to add more fish, and I understand why you want to do that, I would probably make sure I am adding a sizable group of fish. I don't mean 64. I mean, I would probably add no less than like 8 in there. I don't know how many fish you have in there. I think that video was yours, and there was quite a few in there, if I'm thinking of the right tank. But I would still probably, I would probably add about 8 of them, which, unless you're a rich man, that's going to hurt when you go to buy them all. But I would probably do that because that would be enough to disperse. If there is any aggression, it's going to disperse it. And, you know, there would be enough chaos going on in there where you'd probably be, your chances of success would probably be better. If you put 3 in there, man, I would be very nervous if you put 3, even full-grown peacocks in there. They're only going to be 6 inches. I mean, they're not going to be anything compared to what you have in there. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big risk. I understand why you want to do it. I don't think I would if it was me. If I absolutely had to add more fish and I'm willing to spend the money, which obviously you are, I think I'd probably go for more haps. I don't know. I like a big hap tank. So I love my peacocks, of course I do, but you've already got all these heavy hitters in there. I would probably add more heavy hitters. That's just me. You're taking a risk by doing it. I understand. I would just keep the numbers up and hope that that doesn't turn everything into chaos. Obviously, you know what you're doing as far as taking care of an aquarium. You've had these fish for 6-7 years. I think you're going to be fine as far as bio load and all that kind of stuff. It's just the aggression part that scares me a little bit. Everybody, what's it been like the last 2 years? Everybody started calling them predator haps. They didn't call them that before. I don't know who started that. It is what it is. It's a cool name. There's a reason why they're called that. I mean, predators, you know. So you got to be aware of that. But anyway, I'm rambling. This is the most rambling I've ever done in one of these videos. But it keeps popping in my head how many people say, I just like listening to you talk. So I'm talking more. I don't know. I hope that helps you, Denny. You're a good guy. Did I help at all? I don't know. Let's go to the comment of the week. Okay, so this week's comment of the week is a lot of fun, and this one was good. I'm going to do my best to get through this one. I've gotten a few like this, and it's fun. It's fun when I get these. Byron Simpson said, I do bi-daily water changes. I have 6 inches of black starter balls for substrate, 2 sumps. One is a converted washing machine with 800 pounds of BioHome Ultimate slow spin cycle for anaerobic bacterial growth. The other is a dryer used strictly for mechanical filtration with a car radiator for coarse filtration, bed mattresses for medium, and old unused Pampers for fine filtration. This is for a 5-gallon beta tank. Any suggestions for an upgrade? You know, I thank people like Byron Simpson, because I think that this guy said, you know what, I've seen John reading some nasty comments on Tank Talk the last couple of weeks. He's been reading some nasty ones. And so I want to give him something fun. I want to have some fun and lighten up his mood and help him get through all of this. And I appreciate that very much. Listen, first of all, those nasty comments don't bother me. I get so many people that comment on the videos and they're like, don't let the haters bring you down. They don't bring me down. I'm reading those hate comments for fun. It's not something that bothers me. I promise you, I lose exactly 0 sleep over comments on YouTube. There's no such thing as a comment on YouTube that would make me lose sleep. Unless it was like I'm outside your front door with a gun. You know, that would be kind of weird. But no, they don't bother me at all. I read those comments on this video series just because, for fun, to open your eyes, anyone's eyes really, to what's out there and what people are doing online. But it doesn't bother me. But this one, this was so much fun. There's another one I don't know if it's going to be next week's or whatever, that was similar to this. That was a ton of fun. I can't wait to read that one. That one's real difficult to read. But this was fun. This was a good time. Thank you, Byron Simpson, for that. And I mean, I hope that what you're doing, I hope it's enough to support a 5-gallon beta tank, because, I mean, I guess you're going to be okay. But, you know, I understand why you're looking to upgrade, because might be a little low on the filtration. I don't know. It's what am I doing? Okay, our third and final question for today, which I guess is actually our 4th question for today, because the first one was 2, you know what I'm saying? But this one's a long one, and it's a couple of questions, but anyway, Mike Gravander, hope I'm saying that right. Good grief! Seems like some people aren't happy and just need to criticize. Love your info, and who really cares how you say things. You see what I'm saying? So many comments like this where people are like trying to say, hey, it's going to be okay. It is okay, but I appreciate that very much. If people aren't here to learn, they can leave. I do have a couple questions I hope you can answer. In this video, you mentioned a person can't quick cycle a tank. If a person is using cycled media from a different tank that is already loaded with bacteria, isn't that quickly cycling a tank? Doesn't using pre-cycled media allow a person to add fish sooner? Also on rinsing out sponges and filter media. I know you advocate using tank water. We live in the country and have well water. Due to physical limitations, I siphon the water outside directly from the tank and clean the sponges and media out in my sink. I do try to match temperature that was in the tank. My question on this is, should I keep rinsing out the sponge until the sponge has clear water running out of it? Thank you for the great videos and the help, Mike G. Okay, so let me break this down individually. First of all, the beginning of your video was pepping me up. The beginning of your comment was pepping me up, and I appreciate that. I don't need it though, folks. I mean, it really doesn't bother me. Hopefully my attitude here shows that it really doesn't bother me. I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy just speaking off the top of my head. It's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing for me, which I've recorded. This is the 9th video I've recorded today. I know that might seem crazy, but after recording 8.5 videos, 8 3/4 videos, I'm pretty tired, but this wakes me up. I have fun with it. I enjoy it. And when I read those comments, it's not because it bothers me. So, but I appreciate you wanting to make me feel better. Cycling a tank quickly with used media. Yes, you certainly can. I'm not going to put the label of instant on there. I'm not going to say you take a filter from an established tank and you put it on a new tank, it's instantly going to cycle. I'm not going to say that, but there's a very good chance you're going to have no problems at all. I mean, I've actually had it before where I've transferred over not only the filter, but also substrate, decorations, everything. It's like everything with an aquarium moved over into a new one. Never had any issues. So the answer to your question is sure. Moving stuff over can definitely cycle a tank faster. And so yeah, there you go. Okay, and then I just have somebody walking up. The front of my house is right there. The windows are right there. People walk by. Anyway, here we go. Okay, we live in the country and we have well water. Due to physical limitations, I siphon the water directly out to rinse the sponges in the sink. Okay, so if you watched one of the few live streams I did, like close to the end when I stopped live streaming, I had Jason Adams from Primetime Aquatics on, and that's what he does. He rinses his sponges in the sink. Now you live in the country. Did you say you're on a well? Yep, you have well water. So, I mean, you don't have the antibacterial chemicals in your water that are the one, that's what causes the big problems when you rinse out sponges if you have chlorine or chloramine in your water. So you don't have that issue. So that's probably going to be completely fine for you. But I'm getting nervous here because the camera's going to cut off because I'm going to hit 30 minutes. But so if it seems like I'm talking fast, that's why. Listen, what I say in these videos and what Jason says and what Corey says and Joey says and what everybody says in all of their videos is what needs to be said. It's not absolute gospel. When I tell people you should use tank water to rinse out your sponges, it's because that is the most fail-safe way to go. If you siphon water from your aquarium, put it in a bucket, and then remove your sponges and squeeze them out in that, that is the most foolproof way of doing it. It's not the only way to do it. Like I said, Jason rinses out his sponge filters, and he's got like 127 sponge filters. He rinses all of those out in tap water, city water. And he's never had any problems. And this guy is a marine biologist, folks. I mean, he's a professor. I mean, come on. So It's, that's what he does. That's what he's been doing for a long time. I personally have never done that. I mean, I may have done it before in a pinch or something like that, but that's not how I practice. So when I'm going to give you advice on rinsing out sponges, I'm going to give you advice based on what I do, which is using tank water. But it doesn't mean that that's the only way it can be done. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Isn't that the saying? I don't know. But there's lots of ways to do it. If I said skin a cat to Lisa, I would probably get kicked in a place that men should not be kicked. Yep, it did it. The camera cut off just like I said it was. 30 minutes is the limit and then it stops. I don't know if I can change that in the settings. I'm going to give advice based on what is the most fail-safe way of doing something because it's my responsibility. Lots of people, I've got videos that hundreds of thousands of people watch, and it'd be irresponsible for me to say something that I know can go wrong for a lot of people. So I give the most fail-safe way. But it doesn't mean that you can't rinse your sponges in your sink. The biggest thing, Mike G, I've said this multiple times in the last couple of weeks on Tank Talk. If what you're doing is working, there's no reason to change. If you're rinsing out your sponges in your sink because and you're draining your water the way you said, and it's because of limitations and all of that, if it's working for you, that's all that matters. It's really nothing else is important. The rule book is thrown out the same window that you're draining your water out of. It doesn't matter what the rule book says. If it's working for you, then you're good and keep going with it. The thing with rinsing out sponges in tap water is if you're on city water, that water is treated to kill bacteria. And as fish keepers, we do not want to kill bacteria. So that is the whole reason why I would say not to use a sink. You have well water, it's not an issue for you. I am rambling. This video is going to be 47 minutes long, but I've had so many people say that they like listening to me talk. They put it on and they do water changes or whatever it is. So I'm rambling a little bit more than usual. Plus I'm really tired. So there you go. And I'm not one of those people that one person commented, I like listening to you talk. And so I'm coming on YouTube and saying, lots of you people have been saying that. No, look at the comments. It's all over the place. I'm not one of those people that embellishes. But anyway, I'm going to cut it off here. This is a long one, but I like them that way. And I hope you do too. This is going to be the video every week that's going to be the long one of the week. So anyway, thank you for any of you that are still listening to me talk now. I don't know how many minutes in we are. 30 minutes raw. I don't know what it's going to be cut down to once I edit it. But yeah, thank you if you're still around listening or watching, whatever it is that you're doing. It really does mean a lot. The last video or 2 weeks ago, I said, if you're still watching, let me know. I was shocked how many people said, watched all the way to the end. It means a lot. So anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with me again today. New upload day, Thursday. That's going to be the norm because of You Ought to Know. I hope you enjoyed that first episode of that video. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. I put it up on Tuesday. At least I hope I did because it's... I hope I did. That's the plan anyway. New series, You Ought to Know, went up on Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed that. So that's going to be the new schedule now. Sunday, 10 things. Tuesday, You Ought to Know. Thursdays, Tank Talk. Hope that works for everybody. I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Put in your questions down below. You don't all have to be nice to me like these people were today. You can say whatever you want, and maybe I'll pick your question and cover it next week. You never know.